Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. My name is Fran Baxter, and I am the chair of the Master Plan Steering Committee. And so tonight we, again, are going to have an interactive, all-participant activity tonight. We are here to hear from you, not necessarily talk to you, but really want to hear from the people in the community who have come out to talk about what they would like to see as we develop our master plan. So the evening tonight, I'm going to turn it over to Jeffrey. He's one of our consultants, and he will tell you about how the evening will progress. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Fran. Great. Excellent. Well, welcome everyone. So when we plan for these events, we never know how many people are going to show up. So we actually had plans to have everything covered tonight. If we had 100 people here, 150 people here, so we have the bases covered is the good news. So welcome and thanks for coming tonight. As Fran mentioned, we're consultants that have been hired to help the town go through the whole master plan update process. We've been involved with the community probably for like the last 8 to 10 months or so getting ready for this evening. And I can tell you there's been a lot of hard work that the community has already done over those months through the last public meetings that we've had to talk about issues and opportunities, talk about some preliminary vision. And tonight we're really going to get into a lot of the goals and recommendations. And we're really excited to share the hard work that the committee's been doing to get ready to talk about a lot of different topics tonight as well. So a little bit of overview. I think I got it closer here. About how tonight was going to work, but again, we have a lot of flexibility. I think the important part here is looking over on the right-hand side. We have all of these topics ready to talk to you about tonight. And when you update a master plan, there's usually about 6 or 7 different chapters that go into the master plan, from land use, transportation, housing, and so forth. So we've been spending the last few months diving into those details, thinking about goals for every single one of those topics, thinking about recommendations that would attach to those goals, and we're really ready to share those with you tonight and get your feedback on them as well. So a little bit more about where we are in the process is, as I mentioned, we're about 10 months into the process so far, so we're kind of getting towards the tail end, and what we've already been able to do is package probably 2/3 of the draft report, the draft master plan update, which are really a lot of the baseline conditions in terms of understanding every single one of those topic areas, giving the town a profile of who you are and some of your strengths and weaknesses, so that we can go on to this last part of our process and talk about some recommendations and implementation master plan as well. So how does tonight work? So only a few more slides to go, and then we're really going to get right to it tonight because we wanted to have the most time listening and talking to you. So what we're going to do is have everyone be able to circulate through each of the different topic areas here. So if you simply look at all of the different boards that are up here, all the different drawings that are up here, at the very top of all of these pages, they're organized by the elements that are in the middle of the page here. So we have land use table, which is off in the middle over there. We have a housing table all the way to the left over here. I think it's economic development in the back. We have open space and rec, natural, cultural, historic resources. We have public facilities and services and transportation. So what we're going to ask you to do is go through each of these tables, talk to the facilitators. There are facilitators, if you can raise your hand, so let people know these are the committee members that have been working really hard on this whole process as well. Engage with those community members. They'll walk you through what's in each of these goals and recommendations. And if you grabbed a handout on the way in, all of the words that you see up on the boards are replicated in the handout for tonight. So if you want to follow along, read these, mark them up. These are for you to keep for the evening, and really get into the conversations with the facilitators as well. So what are you going to do when you get to the facilitator? It'd be nice to talk about, look them over and tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you think might be missing on some of these goals or recommendations so that we can make them better. These are very much a draft that the committee, again, has worked hard on, but we want to get your input if we think that the right set of goals and recommendations for your community as well. So as you're talking with them, we have a series of Post-it notes up there, as well as the yellow and the white flip charts. So we want to take down a whole bunch of ideas from the facilitators at the tables there. We also have some Post-it notes that we can fill up some of these yellow and white flip charts as well. So the idea is we want to capture as much as possible about what you like and what you don't like, okay? And the last thing that we're doing, on the way in, everyone should have gotten these little red dots or other, the colors don't matter if they're different colors. we've given you 7 dots. So if you look up here, we have 7 different parts of the master plan. So if you'd like to tell us one of your favorite recommendations or the one that you think is the most important for the town to move forward, you can place that dot, as it shows here, on the right-hand side of all of those white sheets to let us know your priorities and how you think the community should continue to maybe refine those or make them better or make them a top priority as well. If you love an idea so much that you want to use all 7 of your dots on one of those, and we've seen communities do that before, you can use these however you want. But we encourage you maybe to go around, look at them, get familiar with them, and use them however you'd like to at the end. So depending on how the night goes, maybe at the end of the evening we might do a little bit of a wrap-up from some of the facilitators just to hear some of the common themes. But that's really it for us tonight. So what I'd encourage you to do is get ready to circulate around and enjoy the evening, and just a little bit about how this is working. And we got a couple examples here. So you'll see at all of these breakout stations, there'll be a goal up in here that's really setting the table for some actions that fall underneath it. We have intentionally numbered these. They are in no particular hierarchy or order of preference. The only reason why we're numbering them is if you have a comment about, land use goal 1.2, we can go back and do our homework and reflect upon that. So they're only numbered for convenience here, not for priority at all. So you'll see that we have many goals, many recommendations, and I guess really the rest of the evening is about you having those conversations. And you can feel free to start anywhere you like in the room and divide up, and our facilitators are ready. Sorry, so let's have some fun, and we'll see you at some of the breakout tables. Okay, folks, so we're going to do about a 5-minute wrap-up here. So, folks, if I could just have your attention up front real quick, we'll do a wrap-up up front here. So I just wanted to start by saying thanks to everyone for showing up tonight. It was really great to see a lot of the different conversations going on at each of the tables. I'm glad we had much more of those one-on-one conversations than the larger group. I think it made for a really good evening as well. I see a lot of Post-it notes up on all the different tables. I see a lot of dots that have been voted on as well. And it's already interesting to see a lot of the clusters of some of the dots that are starting to merge as we go through the night as well. So we're going to do a 2 or 3 minute at most report back for each of the stations. So Fran, if you wouldn't mind leading us off, and we'll hear from Fran about the transportation focus.
Right. Thank you, Jeffrey. All right, so over here in transportation, it was really a pretty common theme. You can tell a little bit by the dots that the main focus is figuring out a way to slow down traffic so that it makes it safer for the pedestrian and the bicycle traffic. And that's really 2-part. One, making bike lanes, improving sidewalks, and then slowing down the vehicular traffic to make it safer all around. And that's pretty much what people had to say.
Excellent. Thank you, Fran. So, Susan, how did you go over here at the Public Facilities and Services?
So over here we had a lot of conversation about sustainable development and renewable energy. A lot of people talked about that. Also, a lot of talk surrounding the repurpose and reuse of municipal buildings like the fire station and the old Newtown Hall, and the uses of those particular spaces was also a topic of conversation. And then just in general, it seems like we've got a lot of just support of that, but not necessarily any overarching comment for education.
I was just going to make a quick comment that I noticed as I was going around that a lot of the different groups chose to use their dots at the goal level versus the actual action level. So I think that tells us that they, in general, agreed with a lot of what was going on in the actions, but placed their dot up at the higher level at the goals. So I think you'll see that's a common theme as we go around. Norm?
Thanks, Jeff. All right. Clearly, we have one highlight. It's really repurposing the town's properties that we're trying to figure out what to do with. We've got White Cliffs, Westboro State Hospital, 13 Church Street. That's the abandoned I won't say abandoned. Yeah, abandoned is the right word. The abandoned old fire station, and then 4 West Main Street, which everybody calls the new Old Town Hall, right in the center of town. And I think more than anything, it's how to address these over the next 20 years, the utilization of these properties. And you're right, Jeff, quite a few people have been putting them on the goals, because you put one sticker on the goal, and it means you want all of them. So it's a very good use of stickers.
Excellent, thank you. So we're going to go over to open space and rec. Justin, you want to lead us through what your group talked about? And I noticed there's some creative use of dots over here on the Post-it notes. I think this might be the only station that did that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had emphasis on some points over here because they're actually missing from our chart. I think the big thing that we were seeing was, or hearing, was turf fields. A lot of folks in town, certainly wanted those, and we don't necessarily have that up here. We have some stuff about adding more recreational facilities, but not really maybe repurposing and improving ours to include things like turf fields. Also, we're hearing town swimming pool, or possibly, town beach. And I think the dog park was talked about for a while too. And I know we have a few stickers on that up here. But it's whether or not we look towards, maybe a new dog park, or potentially making 1 or 2 of the trails in town like an off-leash type spot to take advantage of what we already have. So a lot of great comments.
About 10 years ago, there was a group of 50 people that went to the town to try to get a dog park. And over time, it's kind of disbanded, but one of the members is here, and we've been approached at the Rec Commission for a dog park for a number of years, so it's interesting that it's that highly thought of and supported. So it's a nice recommendation.
Yeah, and a good point about maybe you need to repurpose some of what you have too, because many times communities take for granted that you've been using something for so long in one way. If you're creative, maybe you can actually reposition it to use some of the new demands, or meet some of the new demands as well. All right, so let's go over to economic development. George?
Thank you. So on economic development, I think the key point that came out was people don't like the downtown. They think the downtown must be improved in some way. They want to, they've told us that they want to somehow define what the downtown is, and then they want to get a committee involved with people from various town boards, business owners, and so forth, and figure out what to do with the downtown, come out with some concrete ideas and suggestions. Those are probably our main talking points. We also got a couple of specifics, including parking, which obviously is a big problem if you're going to develop your downtown.
That's great. So I think a common theme from day one when we got on board here and we did some of those original studies or initial studies around issues and opportunities, the downtown came out loud and clear as an issue and as an opportunity. And I think we're seeing that reinforced in some of the priorities of the recommendations that we've come up with as well. So Jason, Amy, who's going to lead us on land use?
Sure. If you look at some of our sticky dots for the land use, if you wanted to call this a scatter plot, you would see that it's not really very scattered at all. The key goal, and it was again a goal, not so much the recommendations, but the key goal was the LU2 to enhance downtown by promoting a pleasing and welcoming appearance. So there certainly was, I think most of the discussion was really along that line, the concerns. Also, some consideration of the challenges in doing that, considering we have Mass State Highway Route 20 going through the middle of it, and also the issue of requiring or needing the assistance of the property owners through that stretch, potentially to cooperate in some way or participate in whatever would take place in terms of, the functional appearance and the aesthetics and everything like that, to try and have something that's more consistent and cohesive throughout the downtown. We did get a couple of suggestions here. I think one in particular was a pointer to a program that was undertaken in Sturbridge, where they had kind of a 3-phase approach, evaluating their issues and concerns with Route 20, followed by a Complete Streets grant program that they pursued for improvements, and now they're going through the third phase, which is economic development program. So certainly something that we could consider examining, whether that could, in some sense, serve as a model for what we would like to do in our area as well. So.
it over to Rick here. That was great. Really good feedback in terms of looking to other places and learning from other communities, because you're not kind of alone in terms of some of these transitions in the heart of other communities. So learning from your neighbors. Rick, what happened in housing?
Well, everybody wants cheap housing. Basically, it was kind of interesting because we've talked in our committee meetings, you know, about certain different population groups that we've gotten a lot of feedback from the older age group people that it's hard to live in town, taxes are too high, and that younger first-time home buyers, children of people in town are having a hard time staying in town kind of thing. But a lot of the comments we got talked about the difference between long-term residents and short-term residents, and how basically the town has got a couple of personalities. We have a lot of people who come in and they want large houses on large lots. They like the school system. They raise their children here or just stay here for a while till they get a job someplace else, and they leave and move out. And there's kind of this transient population, and most of the home building we've done over the past 20 or 30 years has been to support that population, and we really haven't done much to support people who have been in town for a long time, have supported the town for a long time, or the offspring of these people. And so it's another way to kind of look at where the opportunities are, and people felt we can see the dots clustering here, that these particular ideas would help the town develop housing for this kind of population, this segment that's been ignored just because of what the commercial developers are doing. And I thought that was kind of a new, interesting way to look at it in terms of length of time in town as opposed to age kind of thing, which is another way to look at it we hadn't thought of, so I thought that was good.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a flavor from all the facilitators, and I think what was great tonight, from my perspective, is having all of the committee members here. I know there might have been a few missing, but having everyone stationed here, and I can tell you they've been doing a lot of hard work getting ready for tonight, and having them hear directly from the community about what you'd like to have happen, and hearing through those priority lists for every station. I think that's going to make it that much easier for the committee to start to reflect upon this, refine them, make them better, so we can lock into some of those high priorities as we move forward. So Fran, would you like to maybe close us out tonight? So on behalf of the consultant team, we'd like to thank everybody, and Fran, maybe you can wrap us up for tonight.
Well, thank you again. I just want to let everybody know that the next steering committee meeting is on March 7th. It is an open meeting. You're welcome to come. We do have a portion of the meeting for audience participation or sharing of your ideas or thoughts. So please feel free to come and hear us in the next stages. We are getting together another survey that will go out and will be announced through the website soon after all this information is put up. We are at the point where we have our goals set. We're developing the recommendations to achieve those goals, but at some point we're going to get additional information from all of you and everybody out in the community who will participate in the survey, so that we can then lock those in later this year, well, in a couple of months. So again, thank you everybody for coming out. I really do appreciate it. I want to thank all the committee members for coming out and helping participate with this process, and hopefully we'll see you all on March 7th.
All right, so if you want to hang around and have a few more conversations before we wrap up, feel free to do so. And thank you again for a great evening. Really appreciate it.